The following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
We're back again. It's Thursday morning. Good morning, Dublin. How are you today? I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. So what have we got on the programme today? In just a moment, we're going to be hearing about how elderly people in the Stoneybatter area are being targeted by con artists. Wait till you get a load of this story. Really is quite shocking. I'll bring it to you in a couple of minutes. At 10:45, a new survey shows that 1/3 of under 8s are playing violent over 18s video games. Now, I'm not a gamer myself, but I'm very well aware of some of the stuff that is contained in some of the games. And in fact, I'm going to get you, if you are a gamer, to explain in graphic detail some of the content of some of the video games a little bit later on, because I think this is all down to parental ignorance. Or parents thinking, sure, no harm, a game is a game, and sure, kids are able to differentiate between a game and real life. If you are a parent like that, I want to talk to you a little bit later on. It really is shocking that 1/3 of under 8s are playing over 18s violent, sexual, graphic video games. And something else I want to talk to you about a little bit later on, and it's something that we debate in this office quite often, and that is cigarette breaks and whether or not smoke breaks should be banned in the workplace. This is something that has actually happened in I think it's a council in Scotland has banned all staff from taking smoke breaks. So if you're a smoker, you can smoke on your lunch break, and that's it. And I also want to find out how difficult it is for pregnant women to have a wee. Yeah, apparently it's a big issue that they get refused when they go into like restaurants and bars and stuff like that. But we want to find out how big an issue it is for you. All that and much more between now and midday today. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Oh, yes. Earlier on today, and I'm sure you've heard about this everywhere, tickets for the Spice Girls in Croker next year went on sale. What is the big deal here? I really don't get it.
You just walk in, I make you smile. It's cool, but you don't even know me.
Now, if you are a Spice Girls fan, I'd love to find out why this is such a big deal, that the Spice Girls are in Croke Park next year. If you're somebody who will be going to see them, I'd love to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. If you're a Spice Girls fan, what is the deal? Explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old. Because if I was given free tickets, I don't think I'd go. Well, maybe I would. Actually, no, that's a lie. I probably would go if I got free tickets. But I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. As I said, the Spice Girls are performing in Croker next summer. Will you be there? Were you in the queue? Well, there was a load of people in a queue at St. Stephen's Green Shopping Centre earlier on today. Just before tickets went on sale, we had a chat with them. 98 FM's Jamie Moore went around to St. Stephen's Green Shopping Centre to talk to the people in the queue.
So, Ruth, I've just seen you running to the end of the queue here at Stephen's Green. You're here in time.
I am. I was planning to get here for 1:30. I tried to get the tickets for the UK and they all sold out, so I couldn't get them. So I have my app ready to go, and I'm queuing. I'm out of breath.
You actually are, but you actually ran in the high heels to the end of the queue here.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, I'm desperate. I'm like the biggest fan ever. I've never got to see them in my life. I'm 29 tomorrow, and it's just like, my dream.
Nice. So an early happy birthday. You said you're the biggest fan ever. Tell me about why you like them so much and what type of fan you are.
I don't know, they're just kind of, it's quite nostalgic, I guess. I think every kind of girl, I guess, in their mid-20s, yeah, they'd be a fan because they would have been, you know, you would have put a group together when you were younger. I was Sporty Spice, so I will be dressing up as my 12-year-old self.
You tried to get the tickets in for the UK, you didn't.
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard last week that they're coming to Croke Park?
Oh my God, I nearly cried. Like, and I felt very panicked. All this morning I was like, okay, seriously, need to hurry up, get ready, get in and get them, yeah. If I don't get them, I will cry.
And you have the app ready and you're going to go in and try and get them in person, so you have like a plan B in case plan A doesn't work.
Totally, you know, I'm getting these tickets are mine, so yeah.
And it's freezing also. Lastly, what will you be like in Croker as your 12-year-old self when they come onto stage?
I will scream, like I will die. Like this is the moment that my life has been leading up to. Like this is it. You have no idea. Like I love them.
Right, I'm here with a man outside Stephen's Green. You're here, but not for yourself, sir. Tell me more.
My wife. I'm collecting tickets for my wife and my daughters. Oh, they're all very good from the 90s and 80s, whatever, with the Spice Girls. Yeah, they're really looking forward to the tickets. Came here at 5:30 and I'll get the tickets.
So, when you were a husband and a dad back in the day and they were big fans, what was it like being in the house and being
mental,
with them?
Absolutely mental, yeah.
What sort of memories do you have of them being fans back then?
Just going mad when they come on and that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Really loved them, so he said we get the tickets, you know.
And lastly, if you don't get the tickets or you do, what will their reactions be?
They'll be mental as well, be mental.
Lindsay, you're here for what reason?
Spice Girls, of course.
What did you think when you heard, first of all, last week it was announced that they were coming to Dublin for a gig in Croker?
I was texting everyone and you were saying, no, that's fake news. I was like, no, they're coming. Croke Park all the way.
What do you remember about being a fan of them when you were younger, when they were kind of massive and they were still around us?
Yeah, dressing up as them and trying to get the platform shoes and all they used to wear. It was deadly, great fun.
Which one did you dress up as?
Sporty Spice.
Why is she your favourite?
Tracksuit all the way back then. The white stripes.
How long have you been here, Q, and we're outside Stephen's Green? It's 8:10 at the moment.
5:30 this morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're like third in the queue, second in the queue?
Second in the queue.
So you're sure you'll get tickets?
Definitely a better. Hopefully. Yeah.
And how will it feel when you actually have them in your hand?
There's going to be a lot of jealous people out there when I put on Instagram and all and go girl power and all this.
You'll have to keep them safe when you buy them.
Oh yeah, in my dad's wardrobe in the back of it.
They are the ultimate Spice Girls fan who was in the queue at St. Stephen's Green Shopping Centre earlier on today. My favourite line was out of that Vox Pop was, this is the moment my life has been leading up to. Really? I don't get it. Danielle!
Hello?
Danielle, you got your tickets to see the Spice Girls.
I did, yes.
And are you delighted with yourself?
I am delighted. It's not the moment my life has been leading up to, but I am very, very excited.
I mean, it is a little bit over the top to say it's the moment my life has been leading up to.
No, I have different moments I'm sure I'll be leading up to, but no, I am excited that I got them, and I would have loved them years ago as kids and never got to see them live, and I know they're missing one, but it's just it's a chance to relive my youth, I guess, and I'm excited about that.
So what age would you have been when the Spice Girls were actually around?
I'm 32 now, so when did they come out?
You'd have been about 12 or 13.
Yeah, and like that, all the videos, the sketchers, the big, platform sketchers that they used to wear, and, when they brought out their movie, I had the movie, and you name it, it was all that, and I never got a chance to see them. So when I hear that they were like that, I didn't even try for England because then it was like flights and hotels and whatever. But when I heard they were coming to Ireland, I was like, oh, I should try for that.
Right.
So I was sitting in physio this morning and I was just keeping the page open. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get tickets at the same time. They were like, okay.
So you're delighted with yourself now?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy to relive the childhood youth, yeah. Definitely.
This seems to be the thing. From listening to the people in the queue earlier on today, that seems to be the thing, reliving your youth.
Yeah, but it would have been the same when Michael Jackson announced those 50 tours. I had tickets to go to England and I was bringing my mum, my nanny and my auntie with me, and I had tickets before we died. I could not now. If you had me on the radio for that, I'd be screaming down the phone. I was ecstatic that I had them. I could not believe it that I was going to get to see them again because I seen them in the RDS, I think it was 97 or 98, and my mum didn't pay her gas bill that time she bought them, and she bought the tickets and brought me and my brother, but Yeah, it's just one of those things that your big idols, I suppose, when you were a kid, if you get a chance to go and see them again. Like, you know,
in fact, I've just gotten a message in a second ago from Laura. Laura's 29, and here's what she says. I was the biggest Spice Girls fan when I was a kid, but never got to see them. I had a scrapbook of them, followed their solo careers too. It all got destroyed during a flood one Christmas, though. I had all the dolls and only ate their dairy milk bars. I'm so excited to see them. My God.
See, it is. It's a whole reliving your youth type thing. It is definitely for anybody, you know, and it's going to be a good show, and people make a night of it as well. Do dinner before or drinks after, and it'll just be a great laugh.
Okay, what do you say? And this has to have come from a man. What a load of nonsense. They were complete garbage then and will be again. Hope the show in Croker turns out to be a disaster. What a nice person.
Look, who doesn't love, you know, a bit of pop and a bit of cheese? I mean, like, you know, I'm into all types of music, from AC/DC to Spice Girls. I mean,
there's a bit of a difference now.
But I am quite a wide range of music I love, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's AC/DC. I seen them when they came here. They were amazing. You know, I love the cheese and the pop, like of the old Justin Timberlake pop and the Spice Girls, and so I would go to them too, and I would just have a good fun, like, with either one. Do you know, that kind of way? If you're not into it, you're not into it, and you're not going to see it. But if you have,
as a matter of interest, how much did you pay for your tickets?
€100 each.
€100 each, because I went online earlier on and it was throwing me up tickets for 144 each.
No, I was lucky. It was 100 or 212 all in with the fee, you know.
212, right? So but
I didn't buy them; they were a present for me. So.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. All right, now, Niamh, you have a memory of the Spice Girls.
Yeah. There were 6 of us growing up. We'd moved into a new estate, and none of us knew each other. Well, myself and my 2 sisters, but the others, we didn't know each other. And it was a bit cheesy, but the Spice Girls brought us together. But I was really fat when I was younger, and there was this wagon around the corner. Posh Spice, we'll call her, just in case she's listening. And she used to say that I was too fat to be a Spice Girl, so I could be the manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had a voodoo doll of Posh Spice after that, to be honest. But no, it's all good in the hood. I got tickets, she didn't, so sickener for you.
So, have you got your tickets?
Yeah, we have. There's 4 of the original Spice Girls plus the manager going on the 24th of May. So my sister actually rang. She's hilarious. She doesn't really do gigs, and she rang me and she was like, "We have to go. These changed my life." Like, she was so ridiculous about it. I'm going for the crack. My husband is not talking to me because he thinks it's an absolute waste of money.
He's dead right.
No, he's a total music snob.
So how much have you paid?
They were 106 each, including the booking fee. But that's my Christmas present to myself, because he buys me all crap anyway. So,
what did you say? He's a music snob.
Oh, he's a total music snob. He likes basically every band until they become mainstream, and then he likes them when their original stuff get. He's one of these. I
know the type.
We missed out on Fleetwood Mac tickets recently, and I said to him, Jesus, that's the only band that I got you into. And he wouldn't even give me that. He didn't even know who Fleetwood Mac were until we got together. And now, of course, he listened to them back in the 90s or whatever. He's a dope.
Here's one final message on this, and this is from a man, okay?
Yeah.
And it says, lads, I am mortified to say that the Spice Girls, the movie, was my first film that I saw in the cinema.
God.
That's from Brian, who's 29 from Donegal, and he's absolutely mortified to even admit that. So there you go. Anyway, enjoy the gig next summer, Niamh.
Thanks very much.
Good luck. Bye. There you go. There's a lot of Spice Girls freaks, although the Spice Girls are absolutely useless. They were useless then, and they still are now. They've only gotten worse with age. We'll never know what the fuss is about. And one more message. And this is nasty. The Spice Girls, I believe, have changed their name. They're now known as the Spice Bags. That's just bang out of order. All right, you're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Let me move on to something a little bit more serious for a couple of minutes. Extra Garda patrols are taking place in Stoneybatter following approaches to elderly people by con artists pretending to be tradesmen. This is an unbelievable story. And I'm joined on the line by Fine Gael councillor for the North Inner City, Ray McAdam, to tell us a little bit more about this. Ray, welcome to 98 FM.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me on.
Ray, anytime I hear anything involving the targeting of the elderly, I just get very angry. Tell me what is happening around Stoneybatter.
Well, like you, that type of behaviour makes my blood boil. What happened earlier this week was that there was an elderly resident or neighbour of mine was contacted, or a knock came to the door. There was two individuals outside. They offered to clean his gutters for 20 quid. He said no. They then went on to proceeded to damage the gutters, broke them off the wall. And these two gentlemen told my elderly neighbour that they'd have to pay them 150 quid for the materials in order to fix the gutters. Now, thankfully, he remained suspicious throughout and told them, no, wasn't interested, good luck. At which then they scarpered, leaving the gutter, the pieces of the gutter lying on the street outside his house. Now, from speaking to his neighbours, the gentleman in question has been distraught, and understandably so. So, thankfully, a number of his neighbours then got in touch with myself, and I spoke with the community policing team in Store Street and our community policing sergeant in the Bridewell, Davy Crine. You might remember Davy from Operation Transformation. And we spoke about it in my capacity as chair of the policing committee. And Davy then arranged for community reassurance patrols. But there has been these type of patrols put in place in Stoneybatter in recent weeks in terms of increased foot and pedal cycle patrols. But what last night was involved was community Gardaí calling to the homes, particularly of our elderly neighbours and friends, advising them what the best thing to do in circumstances such as this. Always to remain suspicious, always to ask for identification. And as part of the initiative last night, the new community support vehicle, or the mobile Garda station that's used across the North Inner City, it was located in Stoneybatter last night in order to provide maximum reassurance to all our residents of Stoneybatter, but in particularly our elderly residents.
Okay, to hear firstly, okay, what everybody knocking on the door and saying, do you want your gutters cleaned for 20 quid? But then when he said no, to go and smash the gutters and then tell him it's going to cost 150 quid to fix the damage that they caused.
Exactly.
And do we know if any others have been targeted?
There have been reports of similar incidents over the last couple of weeks, and that's why the Gardaí have put in place increased foot and pedal cycle patrols. So, like what we have seen, I suppose, in the last 3 to 4 weeks, Adrian, is that it's been targeting of what you consider more vulnerable people. So our elderly residents, and then particularly then our elderly women and younger women at bus stops, where little couriers coming along on the bikes, stealing the phones of people waiting for public transport. So, like this type of behaviour, like, as I said at the start, it just makes my blood boil. For anyone
you and me both,
to our elderly neighbours, it's just sickening, quite frankly. And that's why the Gardaí acted as quickly, but acted as effectively as they've done, in order to reassure people. And if I could just make a sort of ask people listening tonight, this afternoon, and those particularly in the Stoneybatter area, if you've any suspicious activity, for God's sake, report it to the Bridewell. You've got the direct line in the Bridewell is 666 8202 or 666 8203. Make sure to report any suspicious activity, because we cannot stand by and let our elderly residents, our vulnerable neighbours, to be treated in this way.
All right. Councillor Ray McAdam, thank you very much indeed for joining us on 98 FM. And once again, the number for the Bridewell, if you see any of this, just honestly, targeting the elderly in that way just really annoys me. The number for the Bridewell is 666 8202 or 666 8203. If you see anything, if you're from the area, please do. If you see anything suspicious, please do contact the Gardaí, because it's not on for an elderly resident to an elderly resident to be targeted in this way. A small silver van with ladders on top doing the rounds in Stoneybatter and offering handiwork and posing as tradesmen. So if you see anything suspicious, please call the Gardaí on 666 8202 or 666 8203 if you have any information on that. A message just came in to me to say, same thing happened to my granny a few months ago near UCD. They asked to come in to fix the backlight in the garden and told my granny they'd be chatting to my granddad about it yesterday. They had been chatting to my granddad about it yesterday. My granddad has been buried out the back the last 12 years. She was smart enough to play along and said she'd have a chat with him. They just trying to see if she lived alone. All right. Very, very annoying. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until 12 o'clock. Now, after the break, I want to talk to you about life's little pleasures. There was a tiny little article in a little corner of one of the newspapers today, and it said that a survey has shown being with family or having time to yourself are listed as life's simple pleasures. Now, I asked around the office today, and other people were saying things like a really, really, really long shower, like 20 minutes in the shower. That's one of life's simple pleasures. That's our Jamie who said that. Our Katie's simple pleasure in life is sitting down in front of a telly and playing a video game. What is your simple pleasure in life? Just that one little thing that just, it's just wonderful. It can be the simplest little thing in the world. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. I want you to just tell me what your simple pleasure in life is, and don't be rude about it, okay? Don't be childish. I can predict some of the messages that are going to come in before they even come in. So don't be childish. What is your one simple pleasure in life? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Mine, for example, is, and I really love doing this, when I get home from work in the afternoon, I love nothing more than a power nap. 25 minutes, a half an hour, that's it, bang, up again. And it just, it's just wonderful. What is your simple pleasure in life? Don't be rude about it. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98, and we'll be back in just a moment.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new mattress in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
Now, what are your simple pleasures in life? What is that one little small thing that just works for you? For example, Johnny in Cabra sent a message into us, and he said, my simple pleasure in life is being home alone for an odd hour now and again. I live with my wife and 4 daughters. Netflix, a cold beer, and no women shouting. Bliss. Just the odd hour at home alone is bliss for him. What is your simple pleasure in life? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. And for some lucky caller that I have on air, I have a pair of cinema passes for IMC Cinemas to give away if you happen to be on air. If I read out your WhatsApp, that doesn't count. If you're on air, it does count. Okay, so passes for IMC Cinemas for some lucky caller. I just want you to tell me what your simple pleasure in life is. Shane, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Shane?
Not too bad. How are you?
Shane, I loved your text that came in a while ago because I've absolutely no doubt that a lot of people will be able to relate to it. What is your one simple pleasure in life?
Well, my one simple pleasure in life, and we have 4 kids. We've 2 7-year-olds, a 12-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Oh.
And finding that 1 hour a week to give her a lovely back massage and have some of us alone time, have sex, is the most pleasurable thing ever. I don't care anything else. I'd work 23 hours a day I would, just to have that 1 hour a week.
Because, with 4 kids, it's not an easy thing.
Oh no, and it's not even that. Even when we say, like, if I have a shower, she'll have a shower, and I say, listen, I'm going to give Mammy a back massage. The older kids do, they know they invert the commas with the fingers. Yeah, back massage. And then the two-year-old, like, we just try to get him to sleep. Like, even, and another thing as well is having a shower and being able to go to the toilet in peace for 10 minutes. Because the 2-year-old is always knocking on the door, daddy, 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 daddy.
Yeah, we've a different sort of problem in our house. You can't go to the Jackson without one of the dogs following you in. And I don't know about you, but I can't sit on a toilet with the dog looking at me. I just can't.
No, I can't with a 2-year-old either. Like,
no. And like I said, Shane, a lot of people will be able to relate to that 1 hour, even if it's just 1 hour in a week.
It's just an hour, even a week, even twice a week. It's brilliant. But I tell you now, I don't care what anyone says, having a baby is the best contraception in the freaking world.
And again, I know everybody can relate to that as well. All right, fair play, Shane. Thanks very much indeed. 6797981 is our telephone number. What is your one simple pleasure in life? Jay, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jay?
Morning, Adrian.
Morning, Jay. How are you?
Not too bad.
Jay, what is your one simple pleasure in life?
Get home after a day's work, get everything you need to do at home done, make yourself a cup of coffee, sit down and smoke a joint with a cup of coffee. Nothing better.
No, I don't smoke joints, so I wouldn't be able to relate to that, but I do smoke cigarettes, unfortunately. Mind you, I never find myself sitting down and really enjoying one, and I suppose that's a sign that I need to give them up again, but anyway.
Yeah, you see, there's no effect on you.
Yeah, exactly. Where you enjoy just sitting down, chilling out, and smoking a joint with your cup of coffee.
All the stress from the day just melt away.
And that's it. It's like the day is coming to an end.
Brilliant. And then just chill out, watch telly for the rest of the evening, you know?
It sounds nice.
You see, I'm single, so I don't have any kids to worry about, you know?
Oh, well, that's good.
I have to say, poor Shane, they deserve them tickets.
Absolutely, yeah, God love him.
Once a week.
But, well, he wouldn't be the only one.
Oh, God, no.
No,
we're single and do more than that.
If you've a house with 4 kids in it, it's not that easy.
Yeah, I tell you definitely deserve. Have you got any restaurant tickets you could give him?
Yeah.
Because he deserves something for that.
I'd like get onto hotels.com or something like that. See if we can sort it. All right, fair play. Thanks very much.
As well.
Thanks very much indeed, Jay. 6797981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. As I said, this was a survey we were reading. It's the tiniest article I ever saw in the newspaper, actually. And it was about, it was a survey that asked people, what is your simple pleasure in life? And top of the list was being with family and then having time to yourself. So they're kind of opposites, really. Paul, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Paul?
Adrian, how's it going, lad?
I'm good, thanks, Paul. Paul, what is your one simple pleasure in life?
Saturday morning, Adrian, after being up driving all week, I usually finish, I start at around 1 o'clock in the morning. I usually finish up around 8, so I'm home for 8:30, 9. Into the house, and it's very specific. I have a glass put in the freezer from the night before because I won't drink during the week because I drive for the living.
Okay.
I get home, I have a Jack Daniels and Coke. It's got to have 2 cocktail cherries in it.
Really? God, that's very specific. Yeah, go on.
I know. Into the sitting room, and as you know, I've got a large German Shepherd. He jumps up on the couch beside me, and I stick on Gogglebox, either the Irish or English one. I just sit there and relax for 40 minutes.
Now, okay, I get the JD and Coke. Don't necessarily get the cherries, but I definitely don't get the Gogglebox thing.
Oh, I love it. I'm addicted to it.
Really?
But I record it. Last week was the last one for this season. But I usually record it and I'll watch it on a Saturday before I go. I'll watch the English one and the Irish one, and then before I go to bed, to sleep for the day, and then I get up and it's life is normal. I know. That's so easy.
Well, I did ask for simple pleasures. That's a simple pleasure if ever I heard one.
What is that? Spice Girl tickets, but I don't think I'd even get in if they looked at me.
Probably not, no. All right, Paul, thanks very much. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. Here's somebody who's going to be in trouble if she's listening. My simple pleasure in life is having a breakaway from my girlfriend Donna. And that's from Lawrence. If your name is Donna and you've a boyfriend called Lawrence, he loves getting away from you. Elaine, what is your simple pleasure in life?
My simple pleasure is to sit down with 3 teenage kids at the kitchen table and actually eat dinner and see how they're getting on.
And see how they're getting on. Oh, just a catch up, yeah. And have you any mobile phone rules that they have to be away from the table?
Oh, there's no mobile phones allowed at the table.
Very good. Because you can't,
nothing at all.
You can't
just
have a conversation.
Down. No phones, nothing. We just sit down, close the kitchen door. We don't even let the dogs in, and we just sit down and have a good catch up.
Very good. And it only takes a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
To have a full catch up, just find out what they're doing, how their days went, and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, because teenagers don't want to know about their parents.
No, they don't. So do you? Yeah, do you tell them anything?
Yeah, no, we sit down and we see how our week went with work and school and make sure everything's going okay.
All right, very good. That's a nice, simple pleasure in life. A catch up around the table with the kids. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. What is your simple pleasure in life? Fiona, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Fiona.
Hiya, how are you doing?
Good, thanks, Fiona. What is your simple pleasure in life?
Hugging my dog.
No. There is nothing nicer.
Oh yeah, it's just lovely. So
yeah,
nice.
no, actually, I think one of my simple pleasures is walking in the door and the dogs losing the run of themselves. And
definitely. It doesn't matter if you have a terrible day or a great day. If you're a fucking fan, if you come home and they're just always happy.
Yeah, and it takes your mind off everything. Because we've 2 dogs, and as soon as you walk in the door, actually they hear the car coming in, and then they lose the run of themselves, and then they jump all over you as soon as you come in, and until you say hello to them and rub them, they will keep at it. They want recognition, and it's such a simple pleasure.
It is, it's so nice.
It really
if you're away anywhere, I always miss that. Was the first thing I miss, is kind of like walking into a room where there's no dog there and you kind of go, it doesn't feel the same.
Very good, thank you, Fiona. Let me see. My simple pleasure in life is to have some crackers with butter and cheese. My God, that is just the best, says that message. Mark, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Mark.
How you doing, Adrian? How are you?
Mark, what is your simple pleasure in life?
Taking a sneaky day off work, so I'm not expected to do any housework or anything like that.
Taking a day off and just disappearing off the face of the earth?
Yeah, just chilling out in the house, or going to the gym, or just kind of going out and about. So if I'm at home and people know I'm at home, then I'm expected to do the clothes or hang out washing or do whatever. So if I say I'm in work, I can just chill out at home and not have to worry about it.
So you take it off in secret?
Yeah.
I have to say, there is nothing nicer than just a day to do nothing. Where you've literally, I know that's what a holiday kind of is, but at home, to have a day around the house where you're doing absolutely nothing. No laundry, no hoovering, no nothing, just vegging on the sofa for the day.
That's it, and it's probably over now, and she's probably listening to it now, so.
Yeah, you've just outed yourself taking your secret days off.
So there's plenty of Marks out there, it could be anybody.
That's brilliant. All right, thanks, Mark. Here's another troubled relationship. Grace just sent me this message. My simple pleasure in life is when my husband Tommy falls asleep on the couch and I've the bed to myself. Normally that's a bad sign if he's sleeping on the couch and you're in the bed on your own. Is it not? No? Is it just me that thinks that? My simple pleasure is making my kids laugh. It is the best feeling in the world, says that message. And let me just bring in one last call. What's this person's name, Katie? Yua. You're on 98 FM, Yua. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yua, what is your one simple pleasure in life?
Oh, that must be window shopping. Oh, I just love that. Every time I feel a bit stressed or there's a bit of tension, I just go shop. That's it. That's my thing.
Now, I have to be honest with you, Yua, that would be my one simple nightmare, because
I know that my husband is the same. He can't for the life of him understand, but for me, I just love it. All those shells, and especially now that, from all around, the reindeers and the snowmen, they're smiling into you. I just love it. Oh, gosh.
Well, I can relate to your husband. And so you'll happily do this one simple pleasure on your own, will you?
Oh yes.
Or do you prefer to do it on your own?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Just your radio in my ears, and I'm going window shopping.
Lovely.
Everything. Yes.
I have to say, the one thing I love about my wife, well, there's a few things I love about her, but the one thing that I really love about her is that she's not your average woman. She doesn't like shopping, which is absolutely, it's fantastic. It really is. The best thing about her. Thank you, Ewa. Let me read a couple more. My simple pleasure in life are my family. Example, last night our eldest child is 8 and in 3rd class, and she had to have a project in for today on Vikings. And we spent ages on the floor with scraps of material and paper building a Viking house. It was pure bliss. When everyone was working together, I opened a box of celebration chocolates. She loved every minute of the activities and said to me and her daddy at bedtime, I had the best day ever. Thank you, Mammy and Daddy. Oh, God, I'm really going to cry now. This is my pleasure in life, to see them happy doing the simplest of things, says Jean in Clonsilla. And one last one. My simple pleasure is the feeling of a new pair of tracksuit bottoms and socks. Oh, yes. Yeah, they are simple pleasures. My simple pleasure, in the last 4 years, I watch Faulty Towers every single night before I fall asleep. That's that person's simple pleasure. All right, thank you very much indeed. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy. We're with you until midday today. Now, on the way after the break, I want to talk to you about kids playing violent video games after a new survey has shown that a shocking amount of kids in primary school are playing violent, sexually explicit video games. We're going to find out more about that in just a moment.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. New carpets fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
Irish parents have been warned against buying over 18s games for their young children ahead of the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. It comes after a survey revealed, get a load of this, 1/3 of 8-year-olds play graphic adult video games which contain violence and sexual imagery. Now, as we were about to hear that an organisation called Zico found that 33% of boys in 2nd class had played over 18s games online, 60% in 6th class. It's mainly boys, not as much a problem with girls. And some expert reports link video games to violence in real life, while others actually dispute these findings. Latest psychological studies have found that as violent games become more realistic, constantly playing them can lead to a desensitization to real violence. So here's the question I want to ask you. Is there any harm in children under 18 playing violent video games, considering that 60% of 6th class boys are playing them? 60%! Games like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty and others. Are you a parent who has or will buy your child one of these games? Or maybe you're somebody who has experience of them and says it is downright irresponsible. I would love to hear from you on this. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I want to just give you some examples of stuff that is... our Katie is a gamer and she's compiled this for me, okay? So, for example, in Grand Theft Auto, I want to give you just... If your young fella is playing Grand Theft Auto, here's some of the stuff he may be experiencing. The characters can go to strip clubs and watch strippers dancing on poles. You can also pay for a private dance in the game where you watch the dancer from the character's point of view. The dancer is wearing nothing but a teeny thong. You can also make your partner feel up the dancer, or your character feel up the dancer. You can pull up to prostitutes on the side of the road in certain areas and beep the horn. The stripper will then get into the car and you can choose a service. oral sex or actual sex. And you can see the prostitute doing her thing. One scene shows a famous woman receiving anal sex in a backyard while the player has to try to get the character to capture it on camera to sell to the paparazzi. This is all in one game alone. There's a pretty disturbing rape scene, I'm told. The language is foul throughout the game with words like the F word, the N word, and lots more. A lot of drugs and violence also throughout the game. The game also seems to rip the piss out of a character called Wade, who quite obviously has a mental disability. Just some of the examples from just one game that kids are playing. I would love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. I'm joined on the line by Joe Kenny, who is behind this research from an organisation called Zico. Joe, welcome to 98 FM. Tell me a little bit more about what you found out.
So what we did, Adrian, we're collating some of the surveys that we have carried out between September and November this year. So we have surveyed 6,847 primary school pupils. And what we found was that 33% of second class boys and 60% of sixth class boys are self-reported that they're playing over 18s games, which is an interesting statistic. And it's interesting that there's a kind of seems to be a correlation between a huge amount of boys also play online games. And when we look at girls, it's the amount of boys that are playing over 18 games compared to girls, it's 3 times more.
Okay, so boys in second class, a third of them have admitted themselves that they're playing these games. That figure could actually be a lot higher.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things with, I suppose, the research. It's most important is kind of control for bias. So it's a self-reported survey, and it's anonymous, and it's done in the school environment. So there's a high propensity that young people will basically tell the truth and be more accurate. A counter-argument to that is that some parents would argue that young people don't understand the questions. But I suppose what Zico's trying to do today is create awareness for parents to empower them with information so that they can make informed decisions about the presents that they buy for young people during the holiday period.
Okay, now, like we said, 33% of boys in second class, 60% of boys in sixth class are playing over 18s games online. Parents obviously seem to view this differently to, for example, watching adult movies which are for over 18s. Why do you think parents seem to turn a blind eye to their children playing these games?
We speak to hundreds of parents every month in schools across Ireland, and anecdotally we would know from talking to those parents that parents don't know what's involved in the content of these games. So we would hypothesize or guess that parents think that the content is like the video games that they perhaps played when they were younger. So they might think it's like Pac-Man or Space Invaders, and really the content and the kind of how photorealistic these games are, it's really totally different to things like Pac-Man and Space Invaders.
So what should parents be looking out for? I mean, obviously, a lot of games have an 18 cert certificate or sticker on the games. Parents need to be paying attention to this as much as they would to an over 18s movie.
I would think so, and I think you're right in what you're saying. So there are mechanisms out there. So there's a thing called the Pan-European Games Info, which is a similar rating system to you would see on a movie. There's a website called the Entertainment Software Review Board where parents can go on and they can get a quick synopsis of the content of a game. But it's really for people to make themselves aware and to impart themselves with the information to make an informed decision.
So what sort of stuff would, if parents haven't a clue about video games, which would appear an awful lot don't have a clue, what sort of stuff are kids playing? What sort of stuff are they seeing?
So it will be content, sexual content, violent content. I think like that, even that point there is probably part of a bigger challenge, I think, for parents. I think what really happens in families is that the rate of change of technology and perhaps parents' lack of awareness of apps that young people are using, that apps are not even over aliens apps, any type of apps, for example Fortnite, they kind of creep into families, and there's an issue before parents realise there's an issue, and that parents are overwhelmed by technology in young people's lives, and that they're reactively dealing with situations.
And what are the risks or the dangers of children playing games that aren't appropriate for their age?
Well, it's been exposed to content that's inappropriate, so you could have potential behavioural issues where they emulate the behaviours that they're seeing online, and they don't have the cognitive capacity or the maturity to be able to understand or deal with those situations. And I suppose when Zico goes into school, what we say to parents is that the internet is a good resource. It's like the internet's like anything in life. It's got risks and it's got opportunities. So as a society and as families, we need to minimise the risks and extenuate the opportunities. And the way to do that is through education. So Zico is trying to create a world where young people can safely benefit from the internet and technology. And for us in Zico, what that means is that we need to educate people. So we need to create awareness, and we also need to give parents, teachers and young people actual insights that they can use to basically protect themselves, but also benefit from the internet and technology.
All right, Joe Kenny, CEO of Zico Education, thanks very much indeed for joining us on 98 FM.
Thank you, Adrian. Take care.
Now, I'd like to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. Lots of reaction coming in already. I played loads of these games as a kid. I grew up on them. I'm 25 now, and thankfully my parents never wrapped me up in cotton wool. Anthony, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break, but you believe that any parent who is known to be buying these games for their kids should be reported?
Yeah, well, not all video games that would have, I suppose, labels on them that would have content that would, I suppose, be slightly inappropriate. But there are some video games out there that have content that is way inappropriate for kids that are playing them.
Like I was detailing just a moment ago, Grand Theft Auto, for example. Stay there for 1 second, Anthony. I'll be with you straight after the break. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Georgie is here with Thursday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. The World War I sculpture in Stephen's Green has been vandalised. Gardaí say they're investigating after it was damaged with red paint in the early hours of this morning. There's a call to bring back Operation Free Flow in the city. Labour's transport spokesperson Kevin Humphreys says traffic chaos in the city over the last few days highlights the need for the reinstatement of the measure to deal with congestion. Almost 60% of Irish people will try to bag a bargain on Black Friday. According to Black Friday Global, we will spend around €300 each shopping tomorrow. And experts say the Leaning Tower of Pisa is straightening up. A group set up to monitor the famous Italian landmark says it's now stable and its lean has reduced by 4 centimetres. It follows engineering work to try to save the tower. There you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's Thursday morning. Good morning. How are you today? I hope everything is good with you. I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Now, here, I'd love to know how you feel about this. We were talking about gaming, and I was talking to our Katie earlier on, and she was telling me a story, and I was a little bit angry with her over this, I have to be honest. She was telling me a story about how she was in a game shop and she was buying a game, and a young fellow, what was the young fellow, Katie? He was 12. Okay. 12-year-old came to the counter in this particular game store, was trying to buy Grand Theft Auto, and this is what they're meant to do. The staff member behind the counter said, no, you're too young, you can't have it, sorry for your troubles. And the young fella went off out of the shop with his tail between his legs. Our Katie then went out, talked to the young fella, said, give me the money and I'll go in and buy the game for you. And she did. And what's even more shocking is that the 12-year-old young fella was buying the game for his 7-year-old brother. And Katie facilitated that. And I have to say, I was most shocked that she doesn't even care. My God, honestly, I was a little bit angry with her earlier on. So and maybe you're somebody who's done that as well. This is like buying drink for teenagers. Maybe you're somebody who would buy, it is the exact, sorry, Katie's saying stop. It's the exact same thing as buying drink for kids. The exact same thing. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. Now, let me just go back to Anthony. Anthony, you were saying that parents who knowingly allow their children to play some of these particularly violent, gruesome, sexual video games should be reported.
Yeah, that's what I think. Some of the video games out there, for the likes of Grand Theft Auto or the Call of Duty franchise, all of these games portray massively violent acts, and in the instance of Grand Theft Auto, sexual acts as well. The latest Grand Theft Auto game, Grand Theft Auto 5, there's prostitutes in it, and you're awarded points for going to see prostitutes, picking them up on the side of the street, going to strip clubs as well. And there's particular missions within the game where you have to go into a strip club and basically grope a stripper. And
I'm assuming with your knowledge that you've played this game, have you?
I have, yeah.
Right,
I'm a gamer myself. I'm a father as well, but I would never even play a video game with my children in the room.
Let alone let them play.
The only game I ever play in front of my children is a racing game, and they get involved as well, and they can sit up and use the steering wheel and drive the car around. It's the only game that I would ever even mention to parents that would be appropriate for children. Appropriate for even children that will be approaching their teenage years.
Okay, so firstly, for parents who are planning to get one of these games for Christmas or over this Black Friday weekend, if there's special deals, or somebody, and I've given the example, and she said I could, and she doesn't seem to care about it. The example I gave of our Katie facilitating the purchase of it for a kid who was actually giving it to his younger brother. What do you say to people like that? How do you get the message through?
It's very difficult, unfortunately, but I'm furious in that regard as well, Adrian, that an adult would facilitate that act, that a child was trying to buy a game that's inappropriate.
And that the shop rightly refused.
Absolutely, and that's what they're there to do. That's not a willy-nilly sticker put on the box by the makers. That's put on because people in positions of authority have deemed that game inappropriate for children under 18, and it's a legal requirement for that marking to be on the box to warn parents and other adults and guardians not to purchase that game for children. And Katie is going against that by facilitating that, and it's the same for someone. And
as I was saying a second ago, she doesn't seem to give a damn. She doesn't think it's the same as going in to buy alcohol. Katie, would you go into she's listening to me in the other booth, would you go into a sex shop and buy a porno for a kid? No. It's the exact same thing.
Even normal films. I mean, I grew up in an era where every Friday or Saturday night I'd be in Extravision picking out a movie, and I wouldn't be given a movie with even a 15's certificate or 16's certificate if I didn't have identification or if I didn't have an adult present.
Let me ask you, Anthony, then, what do you think are the dangers or the damage that could be caused to children playing particularly violent, sexually explicit video games?
Children become desensitized to it then. They become desensitized to violence. When you're driving a car in a video game, running people over and you're shooting people, and then they see the news as well, the amount of violence in the news as well, because it's all over the world. Children will become desensitized to it. And
what do you say? What do you say to people who will argue it's just a game, and children are even intelligent enough to be able to differentiate between a game and real life?
Some children might understand that it's just a game, but others are not like that as well. You have to understand that all children are different, and that they're still children at the end of the day. You have to protect them from these things for as long as you can, really.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Anthony. Our telephone number is 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. If you've just joined us, we're in the middle of a conversation about a report that came out today that showed that 33% of boys in second class and 60% of boys in sixth class are playing over 18s video games. And some of them are violent, sexually explicit video games. So, in fact, Genevieve, I'm about to talk to you because you're saying it's only a game, get over it.
Yeah, kind of. It's just, see, me and my brother more so, he played those games when he was growing up. He's 22 now, right? I'm 19. And I used to sit there and watch him play these games. And there's nothing really they're games. It's not real life. I don't understand why people are getting so up in arms about it.
Okay, we were talking about how some 8-year-olds a third of 8-year-old boys are playing these games, and it goes up to 60% when they're not even in secondary school yet. So, for example, is it okay for, I'm going to use an average 10-year-old, okay? Is it okay for a 10-year-old to be playing a game where he will pull up to prostitutes on the side of the road, beep the horn, the prostitute then gets into the car, and you can choose a service, oral sex or actual sex? Is that okay for a 10-year-old then, if it's just a game?
It's not, but that's not all 18-year-old games are like that. That's GTA, all right? Yep. And that game is renowned for being like that. You're playing a gangster, and you're going around and you're committing crimes and all that stuff. And it's renowned for being like that. That's down to the parents for doing that. But that's one game out of...
But games, Genevieve, games like movies have a cert on them, and even though they mightn't be as violent or as sexually explicit as Grand Theft Auto would be, they still have an 18 cert on them for a reason. Do you not get that?
I do get that. I understand that. They have them there for a reason. But from my...
You're obviously saying that there is no reason that they shouldn't have them.
What I'm trying to say is that I don't see a problem with someone playing, a 10-year-old kid playing Call of Duty, like my brother did when he was 10 and 12 and 8. It doesn't... If it's going to create deviant behaviour, that kid already has, in my opinion, there is already underlying issues there. My brother is...
But hang on for 1 second, Genevieve. If an 8-year-old, or even that, you heard the story I told, and I'm not throwing Katie under the bus here. She told me I could tell the story of buying a video game for a 12-year-old who was actually buying it for his younger brother who was 7. Do you not think that it will screw with a young child's head if they're, hiring prostitutes or in a lap dancing club as a character in a video game? Do you not think that will screw with their head?
See, again, that's one game out of a billion games that are rated 18. A billion games that are rated 18. Sure, there's not even boys, there's girls, young girls playing these games as well.
Yes.
And they're playing Tomb Raider. That's, I think, rated 18 as well. I played that when I was younger. That's completely fine. You're going around with a bow and arrow, shooting, killing people left, right and centre. That didn't mess with me. My brother played Call of Duty when he was how old? 9, 8. He was playing the original Tomb Raider when he was 3, sitting on my parents' bed. And he's perfectly fine. And you'll find that a lot of people who are older now, who played these games when they were kids, are perfectly fine. It doesn't mess with their heads. It's not right. GTA, I don't agree with GTA. I think it's not I don't like that game. I don't agree with it. I don't know why there needs to be a game made like that. But I don't see a problem with it. I don't, because from my experience, from watching my brother, from my friends who have all played video games when they were younger, they're fine. It didn't mess with their heads. And I feel like I have younger cousins who are playing games like these, and they're normal kids. It's not affecting them at all.
Yeah, you see, I then question why there even is a age cert. If they're just games, sure, let anybody play anything. Let them watch pornos while you're at it.
Porn's different. They're real life people. This is a game. It's animated. It's not real. There's no nudity in GTA. Yes, they're doing lap dances. Yes, there's prostitutes, all right? But there's no nudity in it. I don't understand why everybody's getting all upset about it.
Stay there for 1 second, Genevieve. Our telephone number is 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. What do you think of parents who allow their kids under the primary school kids to play games that are certified over 18? And I take what Genevieve is saying, that not all games that are certified 18 are that bad, but some of them clearly are. And Grand Theft Auto, I know it's one that regularly gets mentioned, but it is violent, it is sexually explicit. It also, prostitution, all sorts of stuff that... Do you want your kids knowing this stuff? Do you want your kids seeing this stuff? Bobby, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Bobby?
How are you? Not too bad. I think it is wrong, but at the same time, it's very hard to control. But at the same time, if they're watching that type of stuff, I think it will mess with their heads. I mean, they're going to treat women the way they see them, treating them on the games. And then people say, it's only a game. And fair enough, it is only a game. But at the same time, there are the odd person out there that thinks they can go out and do the same thing that's on the game, because the game is so realistic.
And we've spoken on the show before about how... pornography is warping the minds of teenagers because they are able to watch any type of pornography sitting in their bedroom on their mobile phone or whatever.
Yeah, but it's so free. It's so easy to access now between your phone, your laptop, your computer, your PlayStation. It's just in your face.
But the point I'm making is that not only are they getting it from watching porn, then they're playing games like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and they're actually picking out, say, they want to be a certain person, and the certain person is doing certain things to other people. So, I think if there, as you said, there is an age limit on for a reason. I mean, you wouldn't go in and buy a shotgun for a 10-year-old and go out and play with it. Do you know what I mean?
No more than you'd buy your 10-year-old a nagging of vodka, I would hope.
No. So, there is an age limit there for a reason. But at the same time, though, you can't stop it. There's absolutely no way you can stop it.
And what do you make of an adult who chose to buy Grand Theft Auto for a 12-year-old who was actually giving it to his 7-year-old brother?
Well, you'll probably find the adult that's buying is the mother's probably, or the father was probably brought up the same way anyway. So, look, I mean, as I said, you can't stop it. It's just a generation thing,
But this wasn't actually, I mentioned this a while ago, this wasn't a family member, this was our Katie, who was in a game shop herself for her own business.
Katie's a big gamer anyway, I know that for a fact.
Yeah, no, she is, she is. But should she be buying games for a 12-year-old?
Well, listen, now that Katie's in the family way, ask her how she'd react if somebody did to her child.
Well, that's exactly the question I did ask her earlier on, how she would, and how would you react? Yeah, she'd go crazy, so I just don't get the complete hypocrisy. Stay there for a second. Nikki, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Nikki?
Not too bad, and yourself?
Nikki, you're also an avid gamer.
I am.
And how long have you been playing games?
22 years.
Okay. So you've grown up with them.
I have.
And you've obviously seen how the graphics have become very realistic now. How some games it's like you're in a movie. They're that good.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on children? And this report today showing that what percentage of it was 33% of boys in second class and 60% of boys in sixth class are playing over 18s games, including Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, and lots more.
I personally think it's a complete overreaction, to be honest. But that's my own personal opinion. As I said, I've played games for the last 22 years, and I've played video violent games. I've played games that are not so violent, like Crash and Spyro and all them, like the old classics that we all know. But it's never affected me in any way. I go out and I play GTA. I might go around and shoot a load of people in the streets, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and get myself an AK-47 and start a massacre shooting in the middle of O'Connell Street. You have to have the brains, and if you're not going to use your brain, and then go out and cause a load of trouble because of a video game. Like, we can all blame other things.
I know, but I was reading an example earlier on, and I'm very conscious that there could be kids listening, but I think it's important that I read out some of the scenes from Grand Theft Auto.
I know them. I've played GTA 5 months.
And again, for parents, I want to read this. I'm going to read this out again. You can pull up to prostitutes on the side of the road in certain areas, beep the horn. The prostitute will get into the car, and you can choose a service: oral sex or actual sex. You see the prostitute doing her thing. One scene shows a famous woman receiving anal sex in a backyard while the player has to try to get the character to capture it on camera to sell it to paparazzi. There's also a disturbing rape scene. And you think this is no big deal?
No, because kids don't understand that stuff, and that's what adults need to remember.
This is teaching them.
But Adrian, children don't think the way we do, and teenagers, they see this stuff. We have the access to the internet.
So, teenagers
People can go on.
Teenagers aren't in lap dancing clubs, for example.
No, of course they're not in lap dance. I don't go to lap dancing clubs. I'm 28 years of age and I wouldn't step inside a lap dancing club. They're cringy. They are the cringiest things I've ever seen in my life. I wouldn't go near one if you paid me to do it. I don't even do that sort of stuff in GTA. Children they don't know what anal or oral or any of that stuff means. We know what it means in an adult way, and we use it in our brains to then think that children
so
are
what
going
you're
to
saying to
understand
me is that these games go right over their heads.
A lot of children, they would. Yes, some children are more advanced and they know about these things, and I'm not saying that they don't, because they do. And children go out and they do things that are rebellious to their parents, that their parents don't want them to do, like alcohol or drugs or smoking or any of that. I was no angel as a child, and I'm no angel as an adult, but I've never gone out and physically harmed somebody because I feel
let me just go back to Anthony for a second, and I want to focus just on Grand Theft Auto for a second. Anthony, she's saying this is an overreaction, and that the sex and drugs and violent scenes and bad language in a game like this goes right over kids' heads.
It's obviously been a while since she's been in school, and she doesn't know what schoolyard talk is. Once one child understands it, the entire schoolyard understands it. And it just takes one child, one parent, to buy a video game like GTA for their child. They go into school, tell them what their mommy or daddy bought them for Christmas, and then the whole schoolyard wants it. The parents give in, as they normally do, to shut the child up, and then they all understand it. So the argument that it goes over their head is completely blown out of the water. It's actually ignorant to think that children don't understand these video games. Yes, they do understand these video games, and they probably understand it more than you or I would understand it.
Well, Nicky, what do you say to that?
And to continue on to say that children don't understand the terminology and that, it's on the screen in front of them. All they have to do is play the game, and it's explained right there in great colour.
But Anthony, it's not though. Not in GTA. These things don't just pop up. It doesn't come up in a menu and say to you, "Do you want to go and see a prostitute?" You have to go and seek that stuff out. And I know that because I've seen other people that have done it. I personally haven't done it. Now, I've gone to the lap dancing club because in a part of GTA 5, you end up living in the lap dancing club as one of the characters called Trevor. And I've stayed in it, and you see it. But you literally, there are people, you can go in and ask for private dances if you want to. But, it's
but
not there.
Nicky, you don't think kids are going to do that?
No.
Nicky,
if they do it, and if they do it, it's literally, it's nothing. You don't see anything.
Well, hang on. What I've been told is, hang on for 1 second.
They haven't seen already.
What I've been told is that the character can go into a strip club and watch strippers dancing on poles. You can also pay for a private dance where you watch the dancer from the character's point of view. The dancer is wearing nothing but a teeny thong, and you can also make your character feel up the dancer.
Yeah.
And
but there's nothing wrong wrong with that, according to you, though.
No. Like, if you can think of it in your own way. As I said, we all have our own opinions. Opinions are like arseholes. We all have one. and I'm entitled to mine. I personally don't know anybody who has been affected by a video game because of violence and have gone out to commit.
But one of the things that Anthony said earlier on, or somebody said earlier on, it just desensitizes young people to everything.
Desensitized me, Adrian, and that's being honest. I couldn't hurt a fly. I wouldn't see somebody being hurt. I couldn't even see an animal being hurt. It's just not something. That's not the way my brain works. If other people are like that, well, that's their own issue. As I said in my original message in WhatsApp, they're already effed in the head if they're going out because of a video game to cause a load of violence. Like, I personally, I don't believe in that. If people are already effed up in the head, well then, yeah, maybe they'll go.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Nikki, because you'll be interested in the call that I'm going to talk to straight after the break. Tina, I've disguised your voice because you are a primary school teacher who obviously doesn't want to be recognised by any parents or children. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm going to talk to you straight after the break, but you're, I'm told, disgusted by the amount of parents who let their kids play these games.
Absolutely, and, you know, it's from third class, so probably under third class as well, and it's not just the video games, the amount of them who would be watching over 18 movies and, you know, ones with violence and really scary ones that I wouldn't watch. And
okay, stay there for 1 second. I'll be with you straight after the break.
Okay, thank you.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new bed in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
In a couple of minutes, I want to ask you a question and see how you feel about this. Should it be illegal for premises like fast food restaurants or bars or cafes or whatever to turn away a pregnant woman who isn't a customer from using the toilets on their premises? And I want to find out how big a problem this is, because I was reading earlier on, a social experiment has found that pregnant women are regularly refused the use of public toilets. And I didn't even realise this was an issue, to be honest. The experiment discovered that not only are expectant mums regularly refused the use of toilets in establishments like cafes and restaurants, but they are actually refused more than men and those accompanied by children. We're asking, and I'd love to find out how you feel about this, should it be illegal for premises to turn away a pregnant woman who wants to have a wee? Call me right now on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. We're in the middle of a conversation all to do with kids gaming online. Now, Tina, I was speaking to you just before the break there. We have disguised your voice because you are a primary school teacher and you don't want to be recognised by either parents or children. But tell me how big a problem this is becoming, Tina.
Well, you know, I think it's a very serious problem. And, you know, I do have 3 sons myself from 15, 17 and 20. I'm very fair. I'm well aware of what's going on. You know, I know what they're into, what they like. But when I'm in class teaching and, you know, you've kids 8 and 9 saying that they were playing Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto and all these different things, you know, it goes across with movies as well, over 18. They laugh, you know, if they mention a movie they saw and I'd say, well, is that not over 18? You know, they literally laugh at you because it obviously doesn't mean anything to them that it's over 18 or in their house, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, whether it's violent or whatever's in it. And, you know, I'd say, you know, like it can be very realistic. It can leave you, you know, with after effects because it's, you know, the way the games are done as well, they're so realistic and you're caught up with them. But definitely I know, and it's often the ones then, it's more of a problem, I suppose, with children who like have ADHD or anxiety issues or behaviour issues. And it's often the ones like when I was in resource, the children who would have these serious problems with, you know, behavioural and that they have SNAs, they're more likely to be the ones who are actually playing the games that are over 18. And they are definitely don't have the capacity to deal with what they're seeing.
Okay, and do you put this down to lazy parenting or ignorant parenting? And what I mean by that is an ignorance to what is actually contained in many of the video games, for example.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of that, but as well, I suppose some of these children are probably coming from homes where maybe, you know, the parents haven't got the the skills to deal with it either. You know, there's often more things, but that wouldn't be across the board. And I know myself from with my own lads, you know, at least they were definitely well in their teens before they were let on any of those games. And, you know, I don't stop them completely. Some of them are more into the football ones anyway, FIFA. But, you know, Fortnite is big with the 17-year-old. But, you know, I do allow him on it. But, I mean, he's 17. You know, and I'm looking at kids who are 7 and 8 doing the same thing. No way that would have happened with me back then. They would have been playing ones that were more suited to their age.
Okay, let me ask you another question then. Do you believe, and this is what this report today showed, that a huge percentage of, and it's primarily boys, although girls are playing them as well, 33% of kids, boys in second class, and up to 60% of boys in sixth class are playing over 18 games, including games like Grand Theft Auto. Do you believe that has a direct impact on those children?
It does. You know, there are going to be the ones like that girl who was talking, you know, the very grounded people who are playing these, they're probably, the rest of their life is fine. They're probably coming from a very grounded family or normal sort of things where there's no, I suppose, you know, social issues or, you know, just your normal, regular family. They're probably going to deal with it because they're able to separate it. They've got a good grounding coming up, you know, and they've got a good support behind them, and they've probably got, you know, a very loving family. But it's definitely, if there's any sort of issues or problems at all, or children with any sort of unstable backgrounds, you know, it's more worrying for them. It means they are ending up with problems. You know, I've seen myself, the anxiety, you know, they're also very tired because they're up very late. It's impacting on everything. It's harder for them to get up. You've got the contrariness. You know, some of the parents, you know, not able to stop them doing the thing, and it's a battle every day. There's that part of it. You know, it definitely does depend, you know, right across the board. Obviously, it's not nice for any young child to be seeing inappropriate things at an age when they don't know what's going on. If there's nobody discussing it with them, then afterwards, you know, and saying, well, what, you know, were you worried about that? What did you see? And they're probably only discussing it with their friends and getting their friends taking it. And maybe some of them hang around with older. You know, you could have a 9 and 10-year-old watching this stuff, and that girl was saying they might know what it's about, but they are more likely to be hanging around then with some, you know, older teenagers who definitely be letting them know what it's about. So,
all right,
you know, it's very,
very interesting to hear from a school teacher's point of view. Thanks very much indeed, Tina. Leah, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Leah.
Hiya.
Now, Leah, finally on this, you played these games growing up, and you also believe that it did you no harm.
It did me no harm whatsoever. I used to play it when I was very young, when the GTA came out in the PlayStation 2, I think it was. Me and my younger brother used to play it. We're fine, but I can't understand where Tina is coming from. Like, we had myself, I played it, I was fine. But now you've had other kids who wanted to be, you know, the hard man, who took it a bit too far and use references from the games. But especially with GTA now, the fact that there's more sexual... why would you want sexual content in a game? You go to special stores for stuff like that. That shouldn't be accessible for kids to start playing with at all. But you have other games, again, that are 18, like Call of Duty and everything, where I don't think it should be 18s.
But the fact is that there is sexual material in Grand Theft Auto now, and parents just don't seem to give a damn.
That I don't agree with at all. Parents should know that GTA has gone way too far with certain things. I remember you just drove around and run away from the cops and see how many stars you could get. And that was just the fun of it. It was the thrill of it. Now the fact you can go pick up prostitutes and X, Y, and Z is just vile. Absolutely vile. But again, I think it does come down, like what Tina said, the more unstable a kid is who plays these games, it is going to have an effect on them. But if you're able to talk to a kid and say, look, it's not real, it's made up, just like the movies, and talk to them.
But whether it's made up and not real or not, no child should be playing a character in a strip club or hiring prostitutes or anything like that. No 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old should be doing that.
No, I agree that it's gone too far with that. With other games...
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you there.
It's a split conversation because there's other games that, you know, are 18s that I would let a kid play, no problem. I have a 16-year-old brother, he plays 18. I mean, it's going to no harm.
Sorry, I don't know what you're doing with your phone, Leah, but it's impossible to hear you. Let me just read out a couple of your messages before we wrap up this topic. Lazy parents is the problem here. My rules, no screen time from Sunday at 3 p.m. until Friday at 4 p.m. And they get restricted screen time when they've been good all week. So lazy parenting is basically what that person is saying. I understand what that girl is trying to say, but I feel she is misrepresenting the gaming community. Age ratings are there for a reason, not just for the violence or explicit scenes or drug use, but the nature of the stories being told are not stories for kids or young children to be experiencing. And then one more. My nephew plays these games and has done for years. He has gone from an outgoing lad to a virtual recluse. I'd even go as far as saying he has developed mental problems as a result of playing these games. Wow. All right, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls, comments, texts and opinions. You're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy. We're here until 12 o'clock. Now, here's a question for you. And this is something that we ran as a poll on our Twitter, which is at Dublin Talks 98 FM. A social experiment has been conducted by the bladder weakness brand Tena, and it discovered that expectant mums are regularly refused the use of toilets in places like cafes and restaurants, and they're even refused more than men and those who have children with them. This is an interesting story. Two things often associated with pregnancy are morning sickness and the constant need to pee, both of which require the use of a bathroom. And what this social experiment found is that many heavily pregnant and very obviously pregnant women get turned away from using the facilities in a restaurant or a bar. And on our Twitter earlier on, we ran a poll, and the question we asked was, do you believe that businesses should have the right to refuse pregnant women? And 80% said no. 20% said yes, but 80% said no. And okay, obviously a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever has the right to not allow you to use their facilities if they don't want you to use their facilities because you're not a paying customer. You know, a lot of bars, if you walk in off the street to use their toilet, they will say, you're not a customer? No, go on. Get stuffed. Buy a drink and you can use the jacks. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. Pregnant women are refused even more than anybody else, as it happens from this particular social experiment. I'd love to hear from you on 6797981. The question really is, should it be illegal for a premises to turn away a pregnant woman? Okay, that's the question. If a pregnant woman arrives in a premises, even if she's not a paying customer, should she automatically be allowed to use the toilet? Or should premises have the right to say, no, sorry, you're not a customer, bye-bye. Roshan, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. You think it should be illegal for a premises to turn away a pregnant woman?
I do, yeah, and unfortunately this isn't the first time. Like, I actually read about on Facebook, this man and his wife were in a place in Bray and they wouldn't let her use the toilet unless she bought something, but unfortunately they just drove out there for a walk and they had no money with them, so you know.
And she was pregnant, obviously.
She was dying to go to the bathroom, yeah, and I think it's a big health factor as well. Like, it should be illegal due to health reasons.
And, okay, obviously I've never been pregnant, but I know one of the things that is associated with pregnancy is the regular need to pay, because obviously you're carrying around a baby inside you. And I assume when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Exactly, yeah. She was forced to use one of those nasty cubicle things.
Okay, so you believe the premises shouldn't have the right to turn away somebody who is pregnant?
I don't at all, and I think that that they should be held liable and that people should be able to sue them for that as well.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Andy, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Andy.
How you doing, Adrian?
Now, Andy, I have to ask you not to name the premises that you're talking about here, but this is a particular premises in Ranelagh. Tell me what happened last year.
Well, basically, these premises know that we're taxi drivers, basically, outside of the taxi rack. They see us every day. Some of us are actually customers of these premises, but still they refuse to allow us to use their public facilities. So what we've done is we have various web pages and Facebook pages, and if anybody treats us in that manner, we basically all boycott the premises.
So tell us the story about what happened during chemo.
I was going through chemo, and the actual manager of the premises knew I was. He knew I was ill, and still blatantly refused to allow us to use the bathroom. Even though he knew who we were. He sees us every day. He actually wishes us good morning every morning as well.
And what was the reason for saying no? Even though he knew you were...
It's your basic argument, customers only.
Now, does a premises not have a right to say customers only?
They do, but I mean, common sense got to prevail as well, Adrian. I mean, a lot of these snotty little managers, have no social skills whatsoever. I mean, to see a pregnant woman and to refuse her, or to see somebody who you know is actually a customer on more than one occasion, and still refuse them to access to your public facilities. That common sense, if they had any, but clearly they have absolutely no social skills whatsoever.
I was interested to read your Facebook post. You said, after speaking to several drivers, it seems that this particular premises has a strict policy regarding taxi drivers using their bathroom. Please share to avoid other drivers embarrassing themselves. Also, if we're not good enough for their toilet, our money shouldn't be either. I mean, this conversation is about pregnant women using toilets. Why should taxi drivers be allowed to use toilets?
Again, a lot of those drivers were actually customers of this premises, and yet still blatantly refused. So, like I said, if they want to behave in that manner, there's a certain coffee shop franchise who blatantly have a code, and again, knowing that we are customers, refuses access to their bathroom unless we're physically buying something at the time, even though they see us every day. So again, the easiest way to deal with these, that kind of, what would you call it? What's the word I'm looking for here, Adrian? Lack of social skills, there you go, is to just boycott the premises. When it comes to the pop.
Do me a favour, stay on the line there for 1 second if you can, please. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. Should premises be allowed to turn away a pregnant woman who wants to use the toilet? That's really what I'm asking. Lots of interest in this. Back in just a second, don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new mattress in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
We're in the middle of a conversation about a social experiment that was carried out by the bladder weakness brand Tenna, and it discovered that expectant mothers are regularly refused the use of toilets in establishments like cafes and restaurants and so on, and bars and whatever, and we're asking whether or not they should be allowed to refuse them. Pádraig, you wouldn't let a pregnant woman use your facilities?
No, I wouldn't really, Adrian, because let's be honest here, we all have bladder control to a certain extent. Look, most people get up in the morning, you do it, and then lunchtime, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, most people. So I don't buy this stuff. You get caught short, you know. But listen. But
hang on. You've never been pregnant. You've never carried around a 6 or 7 or 8 pound baby in your belly.
I appreciate that, but look, in a public place, I think it's on call for. I mean, really, if they go into the use of facilities, they could be in there for 15, 20 minutes, and there's a big queue outside, Adrian. It takes them forever. But to be honest with you, they should do it at home. And then if they get caught, you just jump in the car and head home. Look, I just, no, because
I said a second ago that 2 things associated with pregnancy are morning sickness and the constant need to pee. So you have to be able to go at some stage.
Look, like I said, once you're in that condition for 9 months, you should more or less stay at home and not being a nuisance to businesses coming in. Like I said, using the facilities and pushing people around basically with their big bellies, and then half an hour in the fucking toilet and there's a big queue outside, Adrian. And really, I don't know what it is with them. It's kind of attention seeking, really, you know.
No, they just want to have a pee. There's no attention seeking at all.
Like I said, there's a lot of control. I don't care if you're pregnant or not. My wife was pregnant several times, and it's not. She could control herself. What research is this, Adrian? For God's sake.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. What do you make of that? 6797981 is our telephone number. Henry, tell me your story.
Oh yeah, Adrian, big fan of the show.
Thank you very much indeed, Henry.
Right, so I was a bartender in a 5-star hotel in Dublin, right? And it's fairly far out. There's not a lot of facilities around it. You have to put on Google Maps to try and find it. Right? It's fairly out there.
Okay.
So I was there for about 3 years, and about 2.5 years into the job, this pregnant woman and her husband came in. It was in the middle of a busy wedding, right? They shouldn't have been there, but he came in, asked, look, it's an emergency, my wife's bursting to go, right? She can't hold it in. Me, being raised by my parents and all that, was like, yeah, sure, go on in, right? Go on into the bathrooms down the hall. Next thing, manager comes in, get those two out of here, right? The manager locked the bathroom door, wouldn't let the pregnant woman into it, and they were forced to drive off. I got a disciplinary hearing off of the hotel, and then I was fired 2 weeks later for a breach of contract.
Really?
And what?
So okay, so hang on. This pregnant woman. Now, were they bogeys or?
No, they were fine. They were driving a very nice car. He was dressed in a business suit.
Okay.
They were obviously going somewhere.
And they popped in because she needed to use the toilet because she was pregnant.
Yeah. Now she was heavily pregnant. And I without thinking, I was like, yeah, sure, bathrooms down the hall, they weren't causing any problems. He was even staying outside because he knew it was there was a wedding going on. And then the manager saw this woman, and he came into me and gave me an earful. And what he actually said was near enough what the fella before me said.
They should organise themselves better.
That they should organise themselves. What's she doing? She's got a big belly. She's pushing away guests. This looks bad on the hotel.
My God almighty.
And I looked at him. Now, I'm 22 years old. I'm a young fella. I looked at him, and this guy's about 40. And I just couldn't believe that I had more manners in my years than him. And then I get the week after, I got no hours because it was part-time basis. No hours.
Because you argued the point.
Because I argued the point. I just turn around and go, but she's pregnant. What's the big deal?
And did you have to go and get her out?
I was dragged along by the manager. Right? She had just walked in. The manager walked in. He was a man, by the way. Walked in. Basically told you can't excuse yourself here. You'll have to leave. Then locked the door. And I had to stand there, look the woman in the face, and apologise for her. And then I had to continue doing what I was doing for the rest of the day. And it was a long 12-hour shift. And for the entire time, the manager was eating the head off me.
My God. So there's somebody who definitely refuses pregnant women.
Yeah.
I mean, one argument is, it's our premises, the facilities are for our customers, and if you're not one of them, then get stuffed.
Why I say that is there's a thing called common decency, right? And it should be at the basis of every single business. If a pregnant woman walks in, right, and also, I just want to say to the other guy, because I'm also a college student, I do biology, the whole fact that a woman can't control her bladder is because a 5-pound or whatever pound baby is pushing against the bladder itself.
I get the science of it, all right. Okay,
I just wanted to say to you, the fella beforehand, because he just didn't understand it.
No, he's basically saying, hold your weed. That's really what he's saying. Paula, you're a restaurant owner, is that right?
Yes.
What rule do you have with regard to non-customers using your toilets?
We don't allow it, but I have exceptions for pregnant women and young children.
Okay, so if a pregnant woman arrives, walks into your restaurant and says, "Can I use the toilet?" you'll say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I have had 2 children myself, and I know what it's like. I think.
But if I were to arrive at the door and say, "Can I use your toilet?" you'll say it's for customers only.
Exactly.
And what do you think of premises, and it appears that it happens very regularly, premises who do actually turn away pregnant women and just say, "Sorry, customers only"?
No, I think that's wrong, because like the previous guy was saying about, all the biology of it, you can't have a pregnant woman keep in what she has to let out.
Because of a baby literally leaning on her bladder.
Exactly. I've had 2 children. I know what it's like. I've been in town. I've been in situations, but I just, I'm one of those that can hold it, so it's not too bad for me, but I can understand other pregnant women that have to go to the toilet. So, yeah, I wouldn't refuse a pregnant woman.
Okay, now, Pádraig, I have to go back to you for 1 second, because a lot of people have been reacting and saying, as a man, you clearly know nothing about pregnancy and bladder control when you're pregnant, and how dare you turn a pregnant woman away?
Look, it's like this. The business people have a right to refuse them in their premises if they're not spending money. There's the thing called shopping centres, which are everywhere. Why can't they go down to the nearest?
Okay, but there is a thing called common decency as well. A woman is pregnant.
That's true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you know anything about pregnant women, you will know that the baby is leaning on her bladder, and when she has to go, she has to go.
Yeah, well, all the more reason to stay at home until she has the baby.
Stop, you're being ridiculous. One solution says, in fact, a couple of you, is when I was pregnant, if somebody had stopped me, I would just pee where I stood. All right, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls, comments, texts and opinions. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Thanks for joining us. We're back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Barry Dunn is on the way. In the next hour, he's got some great music lined up, like these.
FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. New carpets fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.